Okay, boys and girls, this is our quiz review for Chapter 1, Lessons 2 and 3, Classifying Life, and also Domains and Kingdoms. And please remember that this is an open book quiz, so you may look back at your notes, and you may also look into the chapter if you need to answer any of the questions. And if you can't read something or if you need a little help, just ask. But here's our review. So the first thing we're looking at here are different rocks, and know that the rocks can be classified according to different similarities that they might have, and that's an example of the process of classification. Next is the scientific study of how organisms are classified is called taxonomy, and this is how you spell taxonomy. So that is the study how organisms are classified, and this is one of the systems that we use, which is Linnaeus' classification system. When we do a scientific name, for example, this is a blue crab, we have the genus and we have the species, and the genus is always going to be capitalized, so the first word is capitalized. Okay, next, the levels of classification of organisms are in order from, we start with domain, then we go down to kingdom, phylum, class, order, family, genus, and then species. The next thing we need to know is the taxonomic keys, which are helpful in identifying different organisms, especially like insects. So you basically go down and see, like, does it have 8 legs? Yes, then we go to step 2, and so forth. It's like the one that we did in class. Okay, so a couple things. In Linnaeus' classification system, it's the smallest group is the species. The species is the smallest group. You're going to need to know that. Also in the classification system, sorry about that. In the classification system, as we move down the levels of classification from domain to species, the number of organisms is going to decrease. So you can see how they're decreasing going down here. Let me just delete some of these. Oops. Okay, next is organisms in the same family are very closely related, or more closely related than organisms in the same order. So in the family over here, they're more related than the ones that are in order. So the further you go down, the more related as the further you go down the classification system. Linnaeus classified all of the different animals based on their similarities in observable features, and when different organisms, when they can mate, they have to have the same species. They must be in the same species to be able to mate. Okay, so next is domains and kingdoms. So, which is not true about bacteria, is that they do not have a nucleus. So if you look at this bacteria here, there is no nucleus involved. Okay, next one we talk about animals. They're eukaryotic in nature, so they have eukaryotic cells. So that's an animal. It has that. Next, bacteria and archaea are placed in separate kingdoms due to that they have different structure and makeup. So these have a different structure and makeup. So they're in different kingdoms. Organisms that belong to the autotrophs are plants. Plants make their own food, and that's what an autotroph is. The reason why they can make their own food is through the process of photosynthesis. So they can basically take the sun's energy, radiant energy, and they can turn it into sugar, which is glucose. Okay, area around a cell that contains nucleic acid is a nucleus. So a nucleus does contain nucleic acid. There's 3 domains that we talked about. One's bacteria, archaea, and eukarya. And eukarya are what we are. Those contain plants, fungi, plants, protists, plants, fungi, and animals. So that's that. Next, prokaryote is a cell that lacks a nucleus. So if you look at this one, there's no nucleus whatsoever in this cell. Seaweed is a protist. It's also an algae. So algae are protists too. So seaweed is a protist. Fungi or fungi, you could say it either way. Kingdom, they eat dead things. They eat dead, decaying organisms. So you can see the fungi or fungi on this tree here. And finally, the plant kingdom is multicellular. Has many cells, and just like us and animals, we all have many cells. So if you follow this real quick review, and if you look through your notes and our workbook for the quiz, you'll be more than fine.